But we'll do it again. It's one more time. V'nimsim b'kol zera b'nizka the eil she'erik anpen hu hamapil shener al eni zer anpen. Shalo the histakel bo, not to look at him. As a result of that, he said b'chosa the bechinas vok. B'yedei ze nemshechas tenuvach al afapai zer anpen melachashgiach benukva. Let's go right to the light print. Chosa rav the inyan rishon the boyer es hanaasa b'layla be'esa dormita. Kfi shenisboyer le'el as explained above be'esa dormita mistalakes bechinas istaklus eine erik anpen. Now he's talking about, let me just make sure I got myself straight here. This is the time of the dormita. Zer anpen falls into deep sleep. So we're talking about the middle of the night, so to speak, but dormita mistalakes bechinas istaklus eine erik anpen be'ene zer anpen. So then Eric Anpin is no longer looking at the eyes of Zer Anpin. V'choz Zer Anpin the kapnoso. So Zer Anpin then falls back into be a vok anymore. They selected another way of saying that there's no shefa coming from up above into Zer Anpin. V'choz Zer Anpin the kapnoso the hiyos ben sheishaketzvais. We have no problem with this idea. V'noifa b'bechina shena. Falls asleep. So, but he says he said falls. This is Lashon falling into sleep. So he says when he's looking at Zer Anpin gan hu mistal. Excuse me. He said I look at the wrong word. He said no. He says maybe the Zer Anpin gan hu mistalek milahaved alanuk. So if Zer Anpin is not mashpia to Zah, then Zah is not mashpia to the look. V'chozeres hanuk gam he the bechina b'shona. So she goes back to her original condition, which is what? Shehoisach bas nekuda achas, and she's only a nekuda achas. Now, there is, let me say, that was Samach Vav. Oh, we're at Samach Vav. Let's read Samach Vav. V'achar kach Erik Anpin hanizgar atzmo, the Erik Anpin himself, magdil umeir es a nukva. So he says this is actually the lashon that you should think about. It's their Anpin that's being mashpit to the nukva, even though we're always saying that it's Yisrael Savatavuna that's being mayor into the nukva. Now we're talking about the deep sleep. In El Hanuk. So now the light is shining directly into the Nuk. Magdila the essence spheres, and it causes her to grow to 10 spheres. Kamo Kate La'acher Mekan Kasher Ma'alim Zun Man. So now after this, when Zun is able to be Ma'alaman Minim Shachan and Mochin upon him, and then she gets Mochin upon him. Nosen Erik Anpin as a Mochin upon him, Al Hanuk, he gives Mochin upon him to the Nuk. But Atzbach Shalo Ad Yedei Zah, directly without Zah. Now where we normally see this as Ima, we're seeing this now as Erik Anpin commotion is boil el, as we said up above. Let's look at number Lamed Daled. It has a little bit of a richus to it, so let's see what he says. He said, La'acher kach Erik Anpin hanizgar atzmoch magdil umeir es a nukva. Hakesha meforshim, Hiksha meforshim. Halog Mavur La'el explained up above the Be'ez HaDormita that time Niknasin HaMochen the Tevuna El Toch Hanok. V'al Yedechem He Nibnis V'Negdelis. This is the way we always say this. Hare Shabin Yedanuk Na'asach Yedech HaMshachas Mochen Metevuna V'lo Ayedei Erik Anpin Ka'omor Khan. Al Derek Shehakshinu La'el, like we asked this question before. So what comes into Zer Anpin ultimately? We said that. That we're talking about how this flow is going. Harogel, when we're normally saying this. Shabo Hanai the Devuna Niknasin Alanuk. So that's the way we always hear that Shemachana Zos Harav B'Shem Arich. So we see different places where the word he used Machana. So the same process he calls it now Arich. There's a lot of things said about this. So a Torah Chachman writes like this. Okay, anyway. Bir de Geshem Shemetzin to the Pamim Shapartzufim Shema'al Zun Nekroim B'Shem Ma'atzel. So we do see that. Oh, and so also be called like that. Al Derek say Efsha the Lakorim Gam B'Shem Arich. So then it's possible to call them by the name of Arich too. Hashem in Salson writes like this: Kasa the Bayer Al Pi Hamavur. So according to what we're saying here, he explained by Eitz Chaim. So he said that was that was an Eitz Chaim. Shenai the Ima the Arich Meluvish Toch Hamochim Atzman. Well, of course, it's Panimim to the Panimi to the Mochim. So that's the concept of Panimia. So inside of it all, that seems the easiest way to understand it is going to be Arich. Oh, the Yashav Mavur be'etz Chaim. What does it say? The Muach Hadash Shorsho Bekasvim Darich. Have a little trouble with that. So he says that the Muach Hadas. Where is the Muach Hadas? It's in the middle. Shorsho Bekasvim in between the shoulders, Darich, or at the level of the shoulders. Nimsa Mochim Chabad, the Chabad which is inside of the Nai, the Tefuna. Oz Muach HaChochma or Muach HaBina. So he's talking about what? The Chabad, the Muach Nimshachem Mitavuna Atzma actually come in from Tavuna herself. Beidach Muach HaDas Nimshach Marich, whereas Das comes from Arich. Now, I'm not really sure that I understand what he said here, so let's go on. V'lechein pa'amayim toilach b'hamshacha shel hamochen lezer anpin v'nenuk d'tavuna v'hei Muach Chochma Muach Bina Upamim barich, and sometimes they say like a rich muach hadas, which is the muach hadas. Now this little idea here, I'm not sure that I saw this before. One more time, I read it one more time. So he says, "V'lechein pa'amayim toila hamshacha shalamochen dezer anpin." So you have the Na'avima coming in; it's containing the Chabad of Chochma and Bina and Das. B'tavuna, it's all in Tavuna. V'hein muach chochma muach bina. What is actually there? It's those two mochim. Upamim barich v'hu muach hadas. So, not sure that I really understand how we got to this. The chochma bina, yes, but the muach hadas, he says it's an aspect of arich. V'chasade. So the Sada says like this. Huva b'shari rachamim. He said v'bir shachat teferes the tavuna. Says over there that the Tiveris of Tavuna Nikras B'Shem Arich is called by the name of Arich. He says that the Tavuna, the Tiveris, which is the middle line of Tavuna, Nikras B'Shem Arich. The Vishahi Meshameshes B'Kesed is there Anpen Kanoida. Now this is another idea. Shahat Tiveris the Tavuna. Remember that we understand that there's two different Hamshachos of Mochin into Zeranpin. The first one is absorbed, that is the Nai of Tavuna is absorbed into Zer Anpin. Then it's sort of like remade again, using also the lower third of Teferis. Shat Teferis the Tavuna Nikras B'Shem Arich. The Fi Shehi Meshameshes B'Kesed is Zer Anpin Kanoda, because now we understand that lower half of, sometimes it calls it a half, sometimes a third. Mekesed is Zer Anpin Kanoda. So therefore it winds up being called B'Shem Arich, Shucha Keser the Klalos Atzilus, which in other words is that some aspect of the Keser is going to come down and it's going to form into Zeranpin, and it's going to make, that's going to be his Keser. Let's go on a little bit more. There is a Lamed Hey here. So now, with the Nook, we did this one already, right? No, we didn't. So he said, "Oz b'hiyosef besod nekuda zu oz nikras amalchus Ishon Bat Ayin." Now we're trying to get what Ishon means. Lashon Shena. It sounds like Lashon Shena. Bat Ayin, I thought it's more like the pupil of the eye, but let's see what he says. Because of Hashem and Sason, he writes like this: "The nivir shachatam shachanuk nikras Bat Ayin." Whom Mekavish Ata Rak Chamesh Gavuros, that she's receiving over here only the 5 Gavuros, for Kol Gavura Ki Shem Havaya Echod, Each one of them is an avaya. That's a 26. 5 times 26. V'nimsa shechami shechaguvuras olam begematria kal. 130. What's kal, the gematria? The kal is the gematria of ayin. So I'm not sure. Let me say, for kol gevura, so he takes the 5 gevuros. She's only made out of gevuros, which is a number kal. Valkei nikras bas ayin, so therefore she's called the daughter of the 5 gevuros, which is inside of her. That's an idea that's brought over here by the Shem and Sasa. Let's go on to where will we be now? Let's see. I think I just kind of okay, we're down in the next one. So it says like he rock. 1 second. He rock Nakuda Katana Nikras Ishon Bat Ayin. That's where we were. I'm sorry about that. We did Samaches, so we did do it, or I was getting confused there. Samaches down below. Vayinyan Hiba Bechinas Malcha Besod Nakuda Ain Ba parts of Shalom. She's not complete. Rak Nakuda Achas Kolula as spheres of Eina Bas Bepratos. Now, what does that mean? Malchus he rock besod Nakuda, when she falls into the situation where she's only a Nakuda, this could be when she first comes out, she's like a Psia the Bar, I don't know, he's calling her here, that's in the embryonic stage. When she first comes out, so at nighttime, now let's think about this. The Nook falls into Bria. Azah yesh b'chaparak sphera achas, and when that happens, she's only one sphere, which is her kasser. V'ach shafir azos yesh b'chapapratos sara spheras pratios, because we know there's a root kenoida. She calls sphera galula me'eser. So amnam is zechaparak bepratos, but that's only if you look at it in its detail. But how about in its kolel? If it's a part of what? Beklalos, he rock bas sphera acha, she's really only like one sphera. That is in terms of the 10 spheros, which would be if she grew her whole size. So since that's the case, and then shoves the parts of, she's not considered a parts of, really, there's no system there. Shekain parts of kuma shlema shall as a sphera. So switching it around. So she's always in that situation where she's just a dot. Until we get to a situation where she needs to be built completely. And how does she get Bilis? We're building the Birchas Avos, then we're bringing in all these Mochen into her. So that's her basic, I guess is where she starts. So we have to do that by bringing her Mochen. So this bringing the Mochen into the Nook, at least he says, is what happens in Birchas Avos. So now that she's just a dot, Az Nikras Malchus Ishon Bat Ayin, she's called by that name. Because Sefer Zohar v'Chatikunim, in other words, you see this idea in the Zohar. Zohar Heidev Klal Zeh. So what's the klal? Veisha Malchus Adayin Bekatnusa, when she's still Adat. Bebechid Dekuda Achas. Nikras He B'Shem Ishon Bat Ayin. Go back. V'hu Klal Gadol. So it's a big idea, he says. Shebekol Makom Shenizker Ishon Bat Ayin. Wherever you see this, it's just, let's see, B'Sefer Zohar B'Tikuni Zohar. Hakavanot of the Malchus be'eshehi bebechina dekuda achas. The whole idea is about Malchus at the time when she's only a dot. Okay, fine. Number Ayin Aleph. So we're Ayin Aleph. V'zera ve'inyan Omra. This is the idea of Omra umeir the Ishon Bat Ayin. That's the idea of this phrase, the Ishon Bat Ayin. Shuhu anakuda azos, which is that you're bringing the shefa to the dot. V'al yedei raso ba magba, so it's shining into the nook now. Magdila v'naasim parts of gomer kanizka, the elsha becomes a complete parts of 10 spheros kololin. V'zechem v'masha anim askirim v'birchas hamapel. Umeir le'ishon Bat Ayin, that idea, amapel, umeir b'yizava, hakavana she'erik anpin, meir lo'anok shehi ke'es b'sod nekuda achas v'nikbas Ishon Bat Ayin kamor. Umagdila v'na'asis parts of gamor bein as a spheres, and as a result of that, she becomes a parts. Now, let me see where I'm at. There's a Lamed Vav. The Lamed Vav is interesting, but we have 1 minute. So let's read Ayin Bet instead of that. So there we say that this Nakuda is able to stand together with Zer Anpen, Panim Bepanim Bekol Eis Vizman Zachor Gam Zeh. So this gives her. Let's read on. Hanakuda Hazu Sheyesh Benuk B'Dechidas Etzilusa. He Yicholu the Amid Tamid Panim Bepanim Im Zer Anpen. She is able to, this strong statement, to always be able to stand Panim Bepanim Im Zer Anpen B'Kol Hazman V'Ayin Shefa Hakavanot. It's a large Shefa over here, which we need to see, and I think we're out of time. Okay, so tomorrow we'll get into that Shefa, and we'll see. He's got an interesting idea there, I think. Okay. Thank you very much for learning with me today.